UCLA pulls off the upset against 14-ranked Gonzaga. Rob, quite controversial there at the end of the night with some foul calls that Mark Few wanted to review that he didn't get. But before we get into sort of the nitty-gritty, just for UCLA to bounce back, get this win, how big is this for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's big, man. It was anytime that you can get a win over a program like Gonzaga, who their numbers are only going to go up once they kind of get into WCC play and can kind of roll over some opponents. It's just another good win that you can stack on top of a win at Oregon, the neutral court win over Arizona. So it's UCLA's put together a really nice non-conference schedule. I thought it was nice that they got Eric Daly going. This is a UCLA team. It's been kind of hard to get a real feel for them, right? Like you look at this win I think the win at Oregon is their really good win of the season coming into today, but beating Arizona on a neutral doesn't feel like it's as good as what the KenPom numbers say that it should be. And hanging with North Carolina on a neutral, blowing a lead there. They lost to New Mexico in Las Vegas. There were some moments that we've seen from them this season where it's kind of hard to feel like just how good this team is, right? Sweeney, we know that they're good, but it's hard to get a feel for just how good they were. And I think that this was the kind of win where you can kind of put a bow on it and say, look, this is something that's going to have a little bit of lasting and staying power when it comes to their resume on Selection Sunday.
Yeah, look, what I thought it proved, and I think we sort of knew this coming in, I think it confirmed, is that they can be elite defensively. Like they were very disruptive to what Gonzaga wants to do. Obviously, Nembhard was really good, and Ike, when he could get position, was hard to stop. UCLA didn't have William Kyle. He's they're probably their best post defender. But they've done an incredible job all year of forcing turnovers. They forced 15 on a Gonzaga team that does not give it away very often, and then they made timely threes. Johnson's 4 threes and Eric Daly's 4 threes, and down the stretch, Gonzaga could not contain the ball and not foul. Like UCLA did a great job of getting downhill, drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line in a game where they had single digit points in the paint. They were able to, in timely moments, whether it was Mack, whether it was Clark who took a couple free throws, whether it was Daly, get in the paint, draw fouls, and get better looks in those timely possessions. Part of that was offense for UCLA, and part of that was their defense on the other end, making it really difficult on Gonzaga. And like that's going to have to be this identity for this UCLA team, because they're not a super explosive offensive team. Like, is their number one option kind of coming into the day is Tyler Bilodeau, right? And he was quiet today. Bilodeau was not the leading scorer at Oregon State last year, right? That tells you something about where this team is talent-wise on the offensive end. But they have just enough guys who can step up on different nights when you combine it with the defense that they can be very dangerous in the Big Ten. And so to get a win like this heading into league play, can't overstate the importance for Mick Cronin and Crow.
Yeah, I thought it was really impressive they were able to get this win on a night when Dylan Andrews and Sebastian Mack both kind of struggled, right? I said this on our on the episode that we did for Christmas presents for all of these teams, that I think that the biggest key for UCLA long-term, big picture, making a run in March is finding a way to get last year's version of Dylan Andrews and last year's version of Sebastian Mack, because I don't think we've really seen that so far this year. And to go up against a team whose best player is one of the best point guards in college basketball, and Ryan Nembhard, and have those guys combine, what were they, 1 for 12 from the floor? I think they combined for 3 assists in 39 minutes. To be able to get this kind of a win when those two guys are struggling was impressive. And part of it was Sky Clark showing up. I thought that he was really, really good. And he's been really good all season, better than I expected him to be. And then part of it was just the shot making, man. Like at some point, if you're going to have a guy like Kobe Johnson knock down 4 threes in the second half, and a couple of them were really tough threes, there's not much that you could do about that if you are Gonzaga. And if you have a guy like Eric Daly make the shots that he hit, that's kind of one of those things where, to a point, you just got to tip your cap. You held him to 65 points. And if I'm Gonzaga and I'm Mark Few and I'm sitting here saying we hold UCLA to 65 points, I would back us to be able to score enough points to win this game. And I think you're right, Sweeney. It was UCLA's defense really shined tonight.
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, I would just say, just coming in, I mean, there, huge talent disparity, right? Just man to man. And obviously, I like this UCLA team, the way they came back against Arizona. They were controlling the game against North Carolina there before it kind of got chaotic late. And then you sort of stamp this. This is really the way they're going to have to live. But Sweeney, I do want to bring up the end of this game. because a part of me feels like Gonzaga had it kind of taken from them by the officiating there late. The idea that they wouldn't even review the and one call. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind when you look at that replay that Mac was out of his own cylinder and elbowed the defender. Like the defender just had the misfortune of his face being in the wrong place, but he wasn't in his cylinder. If you review that, you can probably and would probably change that to an offensive foul. What were your thoughts on the fact that they didn't even go to the monitor to look at it?
Look, I don't think that the officials decided the game. I thought the officials managed the game pretty poorly, though, right? And that's a number of things. That's, there was a number of reviews, and then not to go review it in that spot. That to me was weird, right? There was, I want to say 3 or 4 reviews in that game, and then to be, elbow to the face with a critical moment like that, no monitor trip. That surprised me. I thought the flagrant 2 on Battle could have gone either way. Obviously, he's such an important piece for Gonzaga because he's really the only other guard that can go create his own shot. And I thought they missed that and it put a lot of pressure on Nembhard. Gonzaga had numerous opportunities in this game. I don't think there's blame to be pointed anywhere but themselves. But I do think that was a huge call and a huge moment. And again, I don't know if it was the right call or the wrong call, but I do tend to agree with you that given how many trips they made to the monitor in the game, it was weird that they didn't even take a look at that one.
Yeah, I don't think it would have gotten overturned. And I'm going to be the last person that ever says, we need more trips to the monitor, guys. What we need in this college basketball game is to be able to have these guys go stare at a TV screen for 3 minutes.
But you got to get it right in the deciding stages of the game, though. Like, so you got to at least make the attempt.
I don't think that they got it wrong. Like, if you go back and you watch it, I don't think that you call a foul there, but I also don't think that it's something where you give a flagrant 1 or say that this is an offensive foul. It's just one of those things where the guy leaned in, there was contact. It was not the contact that I think you would have expected, right? If you were just the way that you saw it live and the way that you saw it happen quickly. But I don't think that that's something where you got to give it was Sebastian Mack, right? I don't think it's something where you have to give Sebastian Mack a flagrant 1 on that. It's not like there was no pivot there. He just went up to try to draw the contact. Just so happened that the elbow made contact to the head.
Well, it was a bad call, though. It was just a shitty call. Like, I mean, in that moment, I thought it was just a shitty call because all he did was get elbowed in the face. I mean, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong on that one. I thought the flagrant 2 on Khalif Battle was just egregious, man. Like, it's so clear what happened there. He bit on a pump fake, right? He jumped higher than any of those referees have ever jumped in their entire life. His legs got taken out from under him because of the way that his body was getting carried, and he felt his momentum go over, and all he could do was grab onto whatever he could grab onto to keep himself from falling. It's just a natural human reaction. It just so happened what he grabbed onto was Eric Daly's neck and shoulder as Eric Daly was trying to elevate. So it looked a lot worse than it actually was. Right? It was just one of those things where you get caught in the air and sometimes you get stuck and you grab onto what you grab. But that's not a flagrant 2 to me. Like, a flagrant 2 has got to be reserved for the kind of thing where you're trying to injure somebody, or you're throwing a punch, or you're getting in a fight, right? It's not something where somebody's falling and it just so happens to be a play like that. I thought that was egregious. And to your point, Sweeney, like, that's, to me, more than the call at the end of the game, that changed this basketball game because you lost the guy that could go out there and get you 20 and a half. We've seen Battle do it for Gonzaga this year. We saw him get 45 multiple times last year for Arkansas. We know what he is as a scorer. He's so important to Gonzaga's offense because a lot of what they do is they run their flow and they try to get Nembhard coming off ball screens and they try to get those duck-ins for Graham Ike and Braden Huff. And when that breaks down, they don't really have another guy that can go get something out of nothing. If you're relying on Nembhard to do that, he can, but that's not really what he's best at, right? So you took away the guy that could kind of end possessions for Gonzaga deep in the clock. And when you're going up against a program like UCLA that guards the way that they guard, you need a guy like that. So that's the one that I'd be pissed about if I was a Gonzaga fan. The other one was just a tough call. It didn't go your way. That happens. Going to the monitor and throwing Khalif Battle out of the game for that is, I can't get behind that one, man.